everyone, and welcome to our first finale webinar of 2022, Malleable Editing for the Composer Arranger. My name is Felicia Elenum, and I am excited to introduce our presenter for today, Rich DeRosa. Rich is the Director of Jazz Composition and Arranging at the University of North Texas. He received a Grammy nomination for Best Instrumental Composition in 2015 for his big band composition, Neil. Since 2001, Mr. DeRosa has arranged and conducted music for Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra to feature Toots Thielmans, Annie Ross, Willie Nelson, Nora Jones, Cassandra Wilson, Roberta Gambarini, and Renee Fleming, among several other notable artists. Today, Rich is going to introduce us to the way he approaches sketching out a new arrangement in Finale. Speaking as someone who has been using Finale for many years, this has really been an eye-opener for me, and I'm sure that it will be for all of you as well. Rich, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Glad to be able to do this and share some of my methods. And the reason why I wanted to choose this topic is because I think, especially for people who are over the age of 50, we didn't have Finale when we got started with this. And so we're used to the conventional approach of using paper and pencil. And I want to just put that out there. It's like, this is not to dismiss that. That approach is still useful. I still use it on occasion when it suits me. But I've been using Finale, gosh, for at least 20 years. And as I've gotten more comfortable with it, I found that I evolved into this idea of starting to do more sketching in that program. And so here I made a list of things, and I'm going to share the screen, things that you can do in Finale that would be very difficult, cumbersome, however, with pencil scores. The idea of once you've entered in the notation, it's in the score, right? It's ready to go. And then, of course, extracting parts. This process has more or less bypassed the traditional aspect of a composer writing a pencil score, handing it off to a music copyist who would be working in pen, or even today, handing it over to a copyist who is now going to put it into Finale for you. It's another step. It's another financial step. And but more importantly for the arranger, many times I have a really tight deadline. So I need to do it all, at least not necessarily formatting the parts, but at least getting it into the score and sending it off, let's say, to the librarian at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and they will do the part extraction. The other thing, though, that's really good is this idea of automatic transposition, right? We enter notes in concert, and we can look and go back and forth, transposed concert in a second. And I think that's really beneficial when we're writing, in conventional pencil. What are we going to do? Transpose score or concert score? Or you have the concert sketch. Well, then you have to write all of that material again in transpose score. All of those steps take a lot more time. The other thing I found malleable with working in Finale, of course, is this ability to insert bars through measure stacks. I can kind of show you that. And of course, adding as many bars as you want internally, not even just on the back end, but internally is really the important part. When you're on pencil and you realize that, say, gosh, I wish I got to insert 2 more bars in here. It gets really messy, right? Finale keeps all of that seamless. And the beauty of that is this point, number 4 here, with the bar numbers and the rehearsal numbers adjust automatically. So if you insert 4 bars, whatever, 3 bars, the numbers stay consistent. All of that is adjusted automatically. The other thing is, the content, right? You can maybe type in the melody. And when I say type, I use the keyboard. I'll show you that in a little bit. But enter that content in one place and then copy it and paste it elsewhere, so you're saving time. Another, for instance, let's suppose you've typed in the keyboard changes, right? Chord symbols for the piano. You can, through the filter, just select copy chord changes, highlight the entire piano part, right? And then copy all those chord symbols to the guitar, to the bass, to an improvising horn player. You know, it's all done. It just speeds up the process. Another important thing, especially for the project that I'm going to share with you today, put all this in context, is performance length. And very often arrangers are requested to keep an arrangement at a certain length. It's very much like, let's say, writing a film cue, where the cue is timed out and you have to work within that timing. And I'll show you how working in Finale compared to a pencil sketch really makes that a breeze. And of course, the idea of instant audio playback, if nothing else, just to check for wrong notes. It's very, very handy, I think. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation today, I'll have convinced you to at least put your toes in the water and begin and do it in simple steps. You know, I wouldn't recommend trying to do this with, let's say, an elaborate through composed original composition, but to do it with arrangements, and that's what I'm going to show you today, how this worked for me. I didn't do pencil sketch on this. I went right into Finale. So Jazz at Lincoln Center asked me to do an arrangement of Yardbird Suite back in 2020, and had several different things that I needed to address. So I put together this event list so you can see what I needed. The first most important thing was performance time, not longer than 4 minutes. The reason why is this is part of a gala. And so there were many different guest artists, and they had to keep the time limit, as you might imagine, to a minimum, so the thing wouldn't go on for 3 hours. So that was a really important thing. And I'm going to show you something that's really valuable. You highlight the bar, and then I'm hitting 3 on the keyboard, and watch what comes up. It tells me, look at that, end of this measure, it's 3 minutes, 56 seconds. So before I wrote too much, I already had a sense, right? I could plan it out just similarly how film cues are written. You look at the film first, and you see how many bars, after you get a sense of the tempo, you see how many bars you're going to write or need to write. Fortunately, in this piece, and that's where simple pieces are better, it's a fixed meter. It's 4/4 throughout, and it's a fixed tempo. Quarter note equals 184 throughout. So obviously, you know, I mean, Finale will compute all the timing for you. So, you know, as long as you have, if your retards are pretty accurate or any meter changes, it will do the math for you. It's just that when you're first starting, you know, if you're not used to sketching and doing malleable editing, I would advise you to do something that's a little more fundamental. Let's listen to the end product, right? Here's the recording. You can find it here if you just type in Jazz at Lincoln Center, Yardbird Suite. You can hear this on your own, but we'll take a look with the form mentioned, and then I'll take you back, and I won't do the whole thing, but I'll kind of show you how you could go about sketching this, right? Here we go.
It's hard to learn how tears can burn one's heart, but that's the thing that I found out. Too late, I guess, 'cause I'm a mess. My faith is gone, why lead me on this way? I thought there'd be no price on love, yet I had to pay. If I could perform a miracle, I'd revive your thoughts in me. But I know that it's hopeless, you could never really care. That's why I despair. Oh, I go along hoping nerves are blowing. What else miserable woes? He seemed to point his own, he make each person the civilian, never known what being looked down could be. He knew that blowing up in music on a set him free. He blew and blew and blew until they had the changes, had the sound, and that was long before we knew when he was just a boy in Kansas City. So pretty. After he came to New York town, all the local jazz listened to admiration. Song before his new sounds around the nation, and Bird deserves the credit for the stimulating renaissance of jazz. It makes me very happy to announce a goodly portion of his best works recorded. So have a treat, hurry up and get yourself some Yardbird sweet.
And there it is. Look at that. 359. So you can get the sense of what the whole chart looks like. Oh, let's take a look, right? It was what? 181 bars. All right. But I didn't have to sit and do all the math with that, right? If I was on paper, I'd have to figure out, you know, how many bars, work out all the math, do the adding, and you know, it's just much easier to get into a flow with this. So, all right. So how do we get to this end result? First thing is, whenever I do a vocal chart, I put the melodic line in first, and I could put it in on my score like this, but sometimes it's easier just to work on a little lead sheet like this and put the melody in, right? So I'm going to go to B flat. All right. Even if I put it in another key, right, I could still get it to transpose. It's really important, I think. I mean, a lot of people do the typing thing. To me, that's like riding a horse when you could be driving a car. So I'm going to put the melody to Yardbird Suite in using my keyboard and the keyboard of the computer. So it's ready to receive. 4 is an eighth rest, 5 is a quarter, and then I hit the dot, and I'm on my way. Now, I might do a little visual cleanup here and I like to format these, right? Typically 4 bars per line for something like this. So there's my first A section of the tune, right? And now, if I were handwriting, I got to write that whole thing over again. I'm just going to put it down there, right? There's my second A section. Okay, now there's a second ending. Right? So now I can just just going to erase this, and I'll erase this. And that's going to be a dotted quarter, right? So, whoop, shoot. And there's an extra bar here with the pickup going into the bridge, so I might put a double bar there. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you, right, that, and a lot of times we like to put a lot of double bars in jazz between sections, right? So there's the first A. Let me get rid of those. There's the first A. Let's keep this formatted. There's the second A. The bridge is going to be here, and here's the last A. And I'm going to watch, I'm going to even this out. Look at this. I'm going to add a bar here. All right. You go into Edit, and down here, now I can add measures, which would add measures at the end. That's one way to do it. Or I can insert measure stack, and that's really handy. Watch this. So if I wanted to put 100 measures in there, I could. I only need 1, and there it is. So now, so the first 4 bars, what's neat about this tune is that the A section changes. It evolves each time. So, but I'll keep the repetitive parts. Right? So this is going to be C sharp. And what I'm doing here is I'm hitting hitting a dash here to lower that. And I want to make that C sharp. So I hit 9, and that converts. And then I could do the same thing here. I could even drag it, or I could hit the dash and hit 9. And same thing, if I want to make this G, I hit plus. Okay, and then hit 9 to convert it. Another way, and this is neat too, is, let's say I'm going to move these down here. When you highlight with the mouse mover, the arrow tool, if I hit 6, okay, I moved things and moved the notes down. So I could have done it that way, right? Watch, I'll do it with this. If I wanted this whole section here, if I wanted to, like this shape, and I want to move it up, 7, and I just keep hitting 7. If I want to move it back down, 6. So these are, try doing that in pencil, right? And nothing is destructive. That's the beauty of it. Now, why didn't I write the lyrics in? Because the lyrics change. So I put in the notes, and I copy as many notes as I can where it repeats, and then I go in and I type in the lyric. Okay? That's going to be another webcast if you are interested about lyrics. It's too much in this topic right now, but this is the idea. Okay, so now I'm ready. Let's say now I'm going to go over to my score here, and I'm going to type it. Oh, I think it started with vocal 2. So there it is. Okay, all ready. And you can do certain things like, let's suppose I want to, even write notes for yourself, even if you wrote it here. Let's say, you could say bridge, right? and then here's the last A. So let's say I'm going to paste, right? Have that, here are those last, oh, let me finish the last 8 bars. Let's do that. All right, let's say it's something like that. I think it might have gone ba-dee-dee-dot, but so those are the last 8 bars. And you see I've already formatted my score. This is important to do here, right? Especially this is easy because it's in 8 bars, right? And there's going to be the 2-bar break, and you could put in double bars here just to kind of help your eyes see, right? You could do things like, well, let's mark it here. Whoop, second tour, right? I could do something like that. I could take it out eventually, but I'm just going to write it in there. And now, look at, if I have all this information, and admittedly, I think some of this was different with the vocalist, so I couldn't do an outright copy paste, but it'll give you an idea, even just, right? So now, if let's say I throw it in vocal 1 here, right? The second singer is going to sing. And now, also what's going to happen is I've got to modulate, right? Remember, this had to go to the key of C. So now, I go to my key signature, right? And now I move this up. There it is. I got to make sure down here, because sometimes it's up or down, right? So you got to just make sure that you, and there it is. And there's my key cancellation, which is really important for C major, right? Cancels those 2 flats. And now here's the bridge that would have been written if we had it, right? So I can type that in if I want. Just mark that. And watch, the last A, here's the last A. It's in there already, right? And give myself the double bar. Right. I look at this as kind of like, you know, like let's suppose when you see somebody building a house, right? They got to pour the foundation. They got to lay out the studs. You know, it doesn't look like much, right? It doesn't look like a house yet. Or it's bare bones, right? So that's kind of, that's what this is. But, you know, there's no shortcuts for that. But all of this has to be done. So we're laying out the template to work in, you know. And I know exactly, I'm complying with my deadline. And so here is the 3rd tour. Oh, shoot, I keep doing that. 3rd tour. And this is going to be the alto sax solo, you know. And I can write these notes into myself. And very often, sometimes I'll do that. I'll just, even if I don't, like I'll write a little line and then I'll say, flesh this out with, you know, I'll write a note to myself right on the virtual paper to remind myself. And then, you know, with the click of a, you know, highlight it and delete, it's gone and the page is nice and clean again. And look at all the bar numbers, right? All of these automatically done for, you know, if I needed more bars. And so let's take a look. And this is another thing for playback sometimes. Like I typed these in here, all right? I typed them in before. And just to show you how quick, I'll just erase these and type them in again, all right? So let's suppose I'll erase these first 2. All right. So now watch. And you can, when you're ready to voice stuff like that, let's suppose you wanted to bring that into trombones. Okay, let's suppose they were going to be backgrounds. I copy that, Oh, now look, you got to watch this. See, it's the one tricky thing. These are in an octave lower. So watch. Here's what happens when you want to move things in an octaves. 9 is up, 8 is down. So I want to move these up an octave. So I hit 9. Now check this out. It's a great feature. Explode music up here in utilities, right? About almost 2/3 of the way down. See, it says explode, right? You open that up, and then I have, well, I only have 3 trombones here. So, but let's do it, let's say, you know what? I'm going to create new voicings. Let's do that. All right, here we go. So I have piano voicings here, but let's suppose I'm going to do right? Let's suppose those were the trombone voicings I want. Now I highlight that, and now I'm going to go to explode music, and there's a shortcut for this, but I'm showing you the long way so you know where to find it under utilities. Explode music, right? 3 trombone parts split into 3 staves. We don't want new staves. We want existing staves, and you can see all the instrument listings, right? So I go down to trombone 1, hit OK, and there they are, right? And if I wanted, right, I have 4 trumpets, so let's suppose, even this, let's suppose if it was this exact voicing, I could even copy this, right? Paste this up here in the trumpets, hit 9, okay? And now the explode music shortcut is 2. Split into 4 staves, trumpet 1, boom. That's my voicing, okay? For the brass. Let's suppose I want it for the saxes too, right? So let's suppose it was something like, oh, I don't know, like even these 5. Not that, you could just paste them and they're there, right? The idea is that when you enter content, any content that could be used elsewhere, it's simply copy and paste. It's really fast, especially with the rhythm section. The reason why I entered this in, here you see I wrote a bass line and I wrote some voicings. They're going to be chord symbols too. I'll put them in, right? Because they have to be put in anyway. So it's B flat 6 9. These are a little high. Here, I'm going to move this. Oh, by the way, something important to notice. When you in your file here with these chords, you want to get rid of enable chord playback because they play them in root position and way too high. So get rid of that. You want to get rid of simplify spelling too, because in jazz harmony, or all of this stuff, and this is important here. Left align chords, it lines it up. I don't know if you probably couldn't see it, but it moves it. It just aligns it. So those are important. You don't need italicized capo chords. You can get rid of all of this stuff. All right, but this is important to take that off. So now I'll just enter these in just to give you a sense, right? E flat minor 9, D minor 7, A flat 13, G7 flat 9. Okay, and that'll be enough just to give you the idea, right? So assume that the chord changes were all above these, right? Now, I didn't need to put in these, right? Ultimately, if you're doing something, let's say for a high school band, they need voicings, you're going to have to do this. But for professional, what normally happens is, right, you go into the clef tool here, staff tool, and there's shortcuts for these too. Define staff styles. One is for slash note, or S. Actually, I forgot how this works with but S is for slashes.
like that. And then you could do rhythmic notation here, that's R, that kind of stuff, you know. So very often the part kind of looks like that with the chord symbols above it, right? The problem is that you hear nothing and you hear silence. So if you want to hear your you know, your rhythm section engaged, right? You can type in those voicings, right? And for the most part, as I'm repeating it, and I wrote in this bass line, let's just listen to that for a second, okay? Okay, so we have a nice, it already sounds like something, which is really helpful, right? When you were sketching, I remember, you know, when you're on paper, there's no rhythm section. You got to keep it all in your head and then figure out, especially with writing backgrounds or whatever. And for me, with the vocal, especially something this busy, by laying this in, it lets me see where the holes are. I mean, look. I mean, there's not even that much there, right? But there's a bigger hole over here, right? So I can kind of get a sense if I'm going to have some activity. There's a bigger hole here, right? So I can even, you know, it's really important to put the vocal, or what is the main line, in first. All right, but now with this information, right? Now, like what I did with the vocal line, I can copy and paste. And if I was doing this by hand, I'd have to write the same thing out, not only for the one chorus, but what about for 5 times through, right? So now I could do this, copy. Once I didn't put the bridge in, obviously, but, you know, and I can paste it, right? And then I can paste it again. And take a look at this, right? Our alto sax player is going to play, let's say. So I'm just going to take these bars where I have the changes in, right? And I want to copy those. I don't want to type them out again. So now I'm going to go to Edit. And about halfway down, it says Use Filter, okay? So I'm going to use Filter. But what I'm going to do is filter out. All I want to copy are those chord symbols. So now I'm going to go to Edit Filter, all right? And I'm going to clear the none. And then up here, see it says chords. I'm going to highlight that, hit OK. Now I'm going to do copy. And now I'll paste that, right? I could put the slashes in if I want. And you know, the beauty of it is, right, we're in concert. So now I'm going to take us out of concert. So look at that, right? There are those changes. All I did was copy the concert changes into the alto line, and the transposition is done. All right? I would have had to write all of that out extra. It takes a lot of time, and your hand gets tired. So this is, you know, hopefully you're seeing how this process speeds up. Now, in reality, when I copy these rhythm section things, it's basically like a template. 75% of it I might keep the same, but as I'm entering in information, or I might like maybe change harmony here and there, so then I just go into wherever I want, you know, and change those bars, right? And do that. Let's take a look at, you know, my intro. Sometimes, I mean, this intro, I didn't only, you know, 4 bars, not a lot of time at this tempo. And the other thing, of course, with any vocal arrangement is that the singer has to be able to find the pitch, right? So what I did here was take this melody, do-ba-do-day, which is part of the Yardbird suite melody. It's the very last little bit of the first A section. Right? And that's what I said, okay, I'm going to have this, take this idea. Oh, why isn't that copying? Well, even if let's suppose, because it didn't exist, right? So it's like ba ba da da. So I'm going to go in and type it in. Whoop, leave the measure alone. No, delete. And if you make a mistake, so there it is. One, boo ba do day. And then I wanted to do a sequence. Okay. Now I got to make sure I'm going to display in concert. So here's the ba bo do day. So I'm not going to enter that. And then ba 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 da 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 da. Right? So in the trumpets. Whoop! Ha! Did you hear what happened? Listen. I love this about version 27. Look. So that lets me know that I'm not in concert. Right? So what I need to do is, so this is wrong too. Here. So okay, and then oh shoot. So okay, now you see some of these notes are yellow. This is because the arranger part is set, is on here where they give warnings, because it's not set for what is considered professional arranger, and you can turn that off. And I forgot where you have to go to turn that off, but there is a way to do that. So, but I remember doing this kind of like, you kind of have to figure out what you want to do, right? And so I wanted to quote the melody and also lead right in, so leads us right into the vocal note, right? And a lot of times this is what I'll do, when I'm sketching. I mean, I could sketch it, sketching is, for me, is more for voicings and things like that, or when I'm composing a new idea and I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go. But for something like this, like, it's just easier to kind of just go right in, and you get a sense for where things are going to be placed, and it's about placing melodies. And then I'll go back and do the the work of support. As you can see, like here, the saxes support the unison melody fragment, and then they switch. The trombones support the saxes. And what I probably did here, this is voiced, I probably did the three notes like you saw me demonstrate earlier, and then explode them. Same thing here. A lot of times I'll I'll get the voicing and type it into the lead part, and then explode them down, right? So that's how that works. You know, the other thing is like this stuff, even like entering, let's say, cut mute, right? So, you know, all these redundancy things, instead of doing it 4 times on a pencil score, right? Go in there, type it once, right? Cut mute. And then I can just, oh, it's not working. Oh, I know why, because my filter is off. Ah, see, look, forgot to take off, or the filter's on, I should say, use filter. So now watch, it'll copy. Okay? Unison things, right? You write a unison line, you write one line, you copy it. You could copy it elsewhere. You could copy it, like let's suppose, I'm just going to make up something, you know. Right? Let's suppose I had that line, and then I'm going to copy it, like, not that I would do this, but, you know, if I wanted to have all 4, right? And then let's suppose, say, oh, I'm going to have the answer in the trombones. Let's see, 3 trombones. So, right? Say, and look at it, it already put it down an octave for me. You know, there's a lot of little time-saving things where you're taking content, placing elsewhere, copy and paste, and moving things. Remember, if you want to move this up an octave, right, you hit 9. You want to move it down an octave, you hit 8. Let's suppose this was happening over here. And let's suppose it was at a different pitch level. You could, you know, say, all right, it's going to be there. I hit 6. You know, things like that. And of course, whatever ideas that you don't like, you can always, no, I don't like that. Take that out, right? You want to add something? Like, let's suppose, for whatever reason, you needed more time on this modulation, okay? I couldn't, remember, I went on right up to 4 minutes. So, but let's suppose if I had the time and I wanted an extra couple of bars, right? I go in there, insert, measure stack, right? So let's say I had 2 bars. Watch the numbers, watch, 36, here's the second tour, starts at 37. There are the extra 2 bars. Now it starts at 39, you see? And then I could add new material. And of course, malleable editing, there's nothing like Command Z, is there? You don't like it, you want to undo it, Command Z. It undoes it. Don't forget Command S, that's really important. You want to save your work. Okay? So often happens for me with intros. Let's suppose, and I might well have started, I think I may have very well started with what was originally an 8-bar intro, right? So let's suppose I had said, well, I'm going to allow myself 8 bars. And let's suppose I had a beautiful 8-bar introduction. And I realized, oh man, I'm at 4:10. The agreement was 4 minutes. So can I have an extra 10 seconds? I'm not going to ask for that favor. I'm going to give them what they want. So it's like, oh man, I gotta, you know, all right, I had 4 bars, that's not going to work. Let me lose 4 bars. Now, when you're deleting, you have to believe, so it won't, and this is kind of a safety. So yeah, I can't delete the 4 bars. I've got to highlight all of them. So that's a nice feature, right? So it's all malleable editing. It's not destructive. And it has, you know, to me, it has its flow, and especially when you get into the keyboard. I'm just going to write something just for fun. I'll just do it here. Like, let's suppose I was doing some slick thing on the bridge, you know. All right? So and let's see, maybe that Move that up. Do triplets. Watch this. There's the tie. Okay, now let's suppose I want eighth note triplets. Hit option 3. You'll see a little 3 that appears right up in this corner here. Okay, and now I'm ready to do, and I hit, for every triplet group, I got to hit option 3 again. Let's suppose I want quarter note triplets. Option 3. You know, I can type faster than I can write, or almost, you know, it's negligible, the speed. But it's really important, in you know, my opinion, to be working, not typing with the mouse and all of that. Get yourself hooked up with a keyboard. If you don't have an 88 key keyboard, at least, you know, even with a 2-octave keyboard, you'll be doing a lot of transposing, hitting the transpose button, so it's not great. But, you know, it's possible to do it. It's better than pointing and clicking with the mouse and trying to get it in there, you know. And like I said, if you want to create those voicings, hear the voicings on the bridge, whatever. Whatever it is, right? And there, now you're going to hear it. Or put a bass line in, you know. Right? Doesn't take that long. You can put it in, and there's your, at least a basic template, right? And you want to write notes to yourself or whatever, you can, you know, and when you're, whatever you want to get rid of, you can just, you know, undo or get, you know, I don't need that note myself for the bridge, whatever. Okay? So I hope you're getting inspired, or at least starting to consider the possibilities with malleable editing. And just to recap, right? Once I'm done, the score is ready to print. I can extract the parts. I could do it on the plane, right? Try copying parts in ink on the plane, or even with pencil, right? You can have your little computer, and you could be doing all the formatting if you need to. The automatic transposition, we saw the value in that, going from concert to transposed. The easy to insert or delete empty bars. The bar numbers and rehearsal numbers adjust automatically. The repeating of the content, pasting it elsewhere, determining the performance length beforehand, especially when it's critical. Hearing the chart in playback mode. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll look forward to doing some more of these for you. Take it easy.